Hi, it's Keith from the Evangelical Free Church, Stony Stratford, and we're continuing our series of short talks in the Gospel of Luke. And today we come to Luke chapter 13, verses 31 to 35. Jesus, as we saw last week, is travelling to Jerusalem, but on the way, rather surprisingly, because Jesus and the Pharisees didn't always see eye to eye, he's warned by the Pharisees that King Herod is trying to kill him. Now, we know a bit about the background to this. Back in chapter 9, there's a lot of talk about who Jesus is, and in verses 7 and 9 of that chapter, these reports have reached Herod. And some people are saying that this is John the Baptist, risen from the dead. Well, you can imagine, Herod has a bit of a bad conscience over that, as he had John put to death. So what is Jesus going to do? Is he going to be put off by this? Is he going to just pause his journey up to Jerusalem or go a different way? Tracy and I love a good action film, and I really do love the Avengers Marvel comic book adaptations or films which have been so popular. Well, one character who is particularly worth our admiration is Steve Rogers, who's also known as Captain America. Why? Well, quite simply, he's a good, dependable chap. He knows how to follow orders. Nothing will sort of put him off his mission. If he's been given a mission to do, he is going to see it through. You can be absolutely sure of that. Well, the same applies when we come to Jesus. Jesus' response is very, very pointed. Verse 32, he replied, "Go tell that fox, I will drive out demons and heal people today and tomorrow, and on the third day I will reach my goal." Jesus isn't going to be stopped. It's interesting he uses that word fox for Herod. Fox is meant to be a cunning, sort of wily and deceitful creature. And he's pretty much read Herod's character. Herod can fume or plot as much as he wants, but it's not going to make any difference. In the end, he is going to fulfill his purpose. Verse 33, in any case, I must keep going today and tomorrow and the next day, for surely no prophet can die outside Jerusalem. Did you notice in those verses that Jesus said it's business as usual? He's going to teach, he's going to heal people, and he's going to reach his purpose on the third day. And with that cryptic remark that no prophet could be put to death outside Jerusalem, there's a picture. There's the actual explanation of what Jesus is going to do. He is going up to Jerusalem to fulfill his purpose and die on the cross for our sins. And nothing is going to stop that. In the end, whatever the world looks like and however it might appear, nothing stops God's purpose. But there's an interesting side to this, which I find fascinating. It shows the deep love that God has for people, even when they've been so disobedient. Listen to the next part in verse 34. "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who killed the prophets and stoned those sent to you, how I have often longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing." Here's the thing. God does not like sending judgment. There's a wonderful phrase in Ezekiel 16 where it says that what God longs for is that people turn from their sins and live. But Jerusalem is ignoring all the warning signs. Prophet after prophet had gone up to Jerusalem, and some indeed, as Jesus has said, had lost their lives. You see, judgment is actually coming, and it's really, really serious. serious. Verse 35, look, your house is left to you desolate. I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. It's interesting that Jesus should use that phrase, your house, because he's referring to the temple there. And he often referred to it as my house. But the interesting thing is, the time of reconciliation seems to have passed. Or it will have passed by the time Jesus is rejected by the leaders of the people. This is something we have to remember. Yes, there were Jews who followed Jesus, but the majority of the nation rejected him. And it's a serious, serious thing, isn't it? Jesus is warning here and saying, you are in danger. I don't want to do this, but... And it shows to us the seriousness of sin. God cannot tolerate sin. If we sort of were to witness, or even if we just hear about it, a terrible murder, or something like that, or something where children have been groomed by a paedophile or something like that, it's right, we should want to see justice. So why is it we sometimes think that God should just let everything slide? When as a holy and pure God, our sin is an affront to him. Just like those things I've just mentioned. There's a warning here. But here's the other thing, there's hope. There's mercy for those who look to the Lord. Yes, there were going to be some that did say when Jesus went into Jerusalem, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, quoting Psalm 118. But the majority would not. In the end, we've all got to decide where we stand. Listen to this from the book of Romans. Paul writes, for this reason Christ died and returned to life, so that he might be Lord of both the dead and the living. You then, why do you judge your brother? Or why do you look down on your brother? For we will all stand before God's judgment seat. There will be a time of reckoning. And it says after that, verse 12, so then, each of us will give an account of himself to God. Which side do you want to be on? The side facing judgment, or the side that rejoices in the coming of the Lord? Thank you for listening.